Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Men, real men, don't just choose a woman because she's beautiful, fine, or knows how to smile right. No, they test. And not because they're trying to play games, but because they're trying to figure out if the woman they're dealing with is really built for the long haul. Every man who's serious about his future understands this. You don't just open the gates to your life without seeing who's about to walk in. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight. Men ain't as complicated as some folks think. We might act like we don't notice every little thing, but trust me, when a man is serious about a woman, he is watching everything. He's not just looking at how pretty you are or how good you smell. He's watching your moves, your reactions, your attitude. And one of the biggest tests we run, whether you know it or not, is to see if you're genuine or if you're just in it for what we can give you. See, here's the truth. Any man can get a woman's attention by flashing a little charm, maybe a nice dinner, maybe a gift or two. That's easy. But the real question we got in the back of our minds is this. If all of that disappeared, would you still be here? Would you still call? Would you still check in? Would you still laugh at our corny jokes? If we didn't have nothing fancy to offer, that's the test right there. Men know that in the beginning, everybody's on their best behavior. Oh, you smiling, you texting back fast, you showing up on time, you got your hair laid and your perfume on point. But we also know that the real you shows up when there's nothing extra to gain. That's when we see if you're here for the man or for the benefits. And I'm telling you, ladies, men watch for this in ways you wouldn't even guess. Sometimes a man will deliberately not go all out at first just to see what happens. He might not take you to the fanciest spot right away. He might not dress like he just stepped out of a magazine every time. He's not being cheap. He's watching. He's asking himself, is she going to treat me different because I'm not showing her all the bells and whistles? Or is she going to treat me the same because she actually likes me? If you pass that test, you stand out, because most people can be nice when they're impressed. But the real character shows when you're not impressed, when you just care. Now, I know some women hear that and think, why do I have to prove myself? He should be proving himself to me. And you're right, men should prove themselves too. But this isn't about playing games. It's about a man protecting his heart and his future. We work hard for what we've got. We don't want to give it to somebody who's just there for the ride. We want somebody who's going to be there whether the ride's smooth or bumpy. And ladies, don't think these tests are always big and dramatic. Sometimes they're small. A man might notice if you ever offer to pay for a coffee or chip in for something. Not because he needs you to pay, but because he's looking to see if you think about giving too, or if it's always about what you can get. He might notice if you still answer his calls on a bad day, when there's no big date planned, just a conversation. He might notice if you're the kind of woman who can laugh and have fun even when there's nothing fancy going on. Men know that life changes. Money comes and goes, looks change, circumstances shift. So we ask ourselves early, is this a woman who's going to ride with me through all of it? Or is this somebody who's only going to be around for the highlight reel? And the only way to know is to test it. I've seen men with money, with cars, with houses. They can get attention all day long, but the real prize for a man isn't the woman who shows up when everything's good. It's the one who stays when there's nothing to gain but him. That's the test, that's the measure, And every man who's looking for something real is running it, whether he tells you or not. A man who's serious about a woman is going to test her patience, and he's going to see how she handles herself when things don't go her way. Now, he's not doing this to be cruel. It's not about starting drama just to start drama. It's about seeing if she can be steady when life starts shaking. Because any man who's been around long enough knows that real life ain't all sunsets and soft music. It's late nights, early mornings, unexpected problems, and moments where you feel like the world is on your back. He's thinking to himself, if she loses it every time there's a bump in the road, how is she going to handle the storms that come with a real relationship? Sometimes these tests are subtle. Maybe he runs late to pick you up, not on purpose, but just to see how you handle that frustration. Do you blow up his phone and start accusing him of not caring? Or do you wait it out with some grace? Maybe he tells you he's got to work late and can't make the dinner plans you had in mind. Do you take that as a personal insult, or do you roll with it and say, no problem, we'll do it another time? A man pays attention to these reactions because they tell him whether he's dealing with someone who can adapt or someone who falls apart at the slightest change. Men have learned that patience in a woman is a form of strength. When things get rough, that calm energy can be the difference between solving a problem together and making the problem 10 times worse. He wants to know if you can keep your head when the heat is on. And it's not just about patience with him, it's about patience with life. Because if you're quick to anger, quick to assume, quick to turn every inconvenience into an insult, then you're going to turn every small problem in the relationship into a war. Sometimes he'll even test you in conversations. He might bring up a topic he knows you don't fully agree with, just to see if you can disagree without turning it into a fight. If you can listen, respond calmly, and keep it respectful, you're showing him that you know how to communicate without blowing up. But if you get loud, defensive, or throw personal shots, he's thinking this is why they be dealing with every time something comes up, and that might make him back away. And don't think this patience thing is about being silent or letting someone walk all over you. Men respect women who can speak their minds. What they're testing for is how you do it. Are you in control of your emotions, or do your emotions control you? There's a big difference. When you can talk through an issue without raising your voice, without making threats, without storming off, you're telling a man that you've got the maturity and emotional balance to handle real life with him. Patience also shows a man how much you trust him. If he says he's got to handle something and you give him the space to do it without suspicion or drama, you're showing him that you believe in his word. That trust builds a deeper connection. Because every man wants a woman who believes in him, not one who's ready to accuse him every time he's out of sight. Men know that the honeymoon phase of a relationship is easy. You're laughing, you're having fun, and everything feels light. But life doesn't stay like that forever. Something will come along, a job change, a family issue, a personal struggle that will test both of you, and the patience you show in the small moments tells him how you'll act in the big moments. That's why even early on he's paying attention. He's watching how you handle being inconvenienced, how you react when he's not perfect, and how you treat him when he's under pressure. Because to a man who's thinking long term, patience isn't just a nice quality. It's proof that you can stand by his side when the world isn't giving either of you a break. When a man really wants to know what kind of woman he's dealing with, he's going to pay attention to how she acts when he's going through something. It's easy to be in love when the sun is shining, the bills are paid, and everything feels smooth. But life has a way of throwing curveballs, job losses, health scares, family drama, unexpected failures, and that's when a man's eyes get real sharp. He starts asking himself, is she going to stick with me through this, or is she only here for the good parts? Men have learned that loyalty isn't proven when things are comfortable. Anybody can hold your hand when it's a celebration, but when the crowd leaves, when the money is tight, when the stress is heavy, that's when you see who's really there for you. A man will notice if during his rough moments, you still talking to him with the same respect you had when everything was great. He's watching. If you encourage him when he's down, or if you start comparing him to somebody else who's doing better at the moment, sometimes a man will deliberately share a struggle with you, not because he needs you to solve it, but because he wants to see how you respond. If he tells you he's going through a setback and you roll your eyes, get distant, or act disappointed, that tells him all he needs to know. But if you say, I'm with you, we'll figure this out, even when you don't have all the answers, that speaks louder than anything else. Men pay attention to how a woman treats them when they can't offer as much. Maybe he can't take you out like he used to because he's grinding to get back on his feet. Maybe his mind is occupied because he's planning his next move. In those moments, he's looking to see if you're going to complain about what's missing or if you're going to stand with him while he's building again. Loyalty also shows in how you defend him when he's not around. A man may not hear every conversation you have, but life has a way of revealing whether you protect his name or let people tear it apart when he's not there to defend himself. If he hears that you stood up for him when someone tried to throw dirt on his character, he's going to remember that. Men value that deeply because it shows you're with them even when they're not in the room. Another thing, loyalty doesn't mean you agree with everything. A loyal woman can tell her man when he's wrong, but she does it from a place of love and respect, not in a way that humiliates him. If you can correct him without crushing his spirit, that's a rare quality. Men hold on to women who can challenge them, but still make them feel supported at the same time. A man might also test loyalty by watching how you react when someone else tries to get your attention. Even if you're not interested, how you handle that tells him a lot. Are you quick to entertain something else when he's struggling, or do you make it clear where you stand? That's not about insecurity. It's about seeing if your commitment holds steady when the relationship isn't at its easiest point. Men remember the people who were with them in the valley, not just on the mountaintop. If you were there when he had nothing, when he was figuring it out, when nobody else believed in him, that loyalty becomes priceless. Because once he gets back up, and trust me, a real man will get back up. He's going to look around and see who stayed. And if you were there in the dark, you're going to be the first person he shines a light on when things turn around. One of the biggest things a man will pay attention to is how a woman reacts to his boundaries and his need for independence. See, when a man is serious about his life, his goals, and his future, he's not going to be available 24/7. He's got things he's chasing, responsibilities he has to handle, and sometimes time he just needs to himself. Now, to some women, that can feel like distance or disinterest, but for a man, it's just a part of maintaining balance. He wants to know if the woman he's interested in understands that, or if she's going to take it personally every single time he can't be right there. A man will watch how you handle it when he says he's busy or needs space to work on something. Do you get upset, start throwing accusations, or act like you're being pushed away? Or do you respect the fact that he's got his own life, his own dreams, and his own responsibilities that existed before you came along? Men value a woman who can let them breathe, because that breathing room is what keeps a man feeling like himself inside the relationship. Sometimes he'll test this without even meaning to. Maybe he decides to spend a Saturdays with his friends instead of with you. Maybe he goes a day without texting much because he's caught up in something important. How you respond in those moments tells him everything about how the relationship will feel in the long run. If you can handle his absence without panicking, it shows maturity and trust. But if you immediately go into suspicion, jealousy, or resentment, it sends the message that being with you means he has to sacrifice his identity. Men also pay attention to how you react when they set limits in a relationship. Maybe he tells you there are certain parts of his life he's not ready to open up about yet, or certain habits he's not going to change overnight. Do you try to push and control, or do you let things develop naturally? A man who's serious about his independence wants a woman who supports him while he grows, not one who tries to force the growth on her schedule. Respecting boundaries isn't just about giving space, it's about trust. If he says he's going to handle something on his own and you can step back without checking over his shoulder, you're showing him you believe in his ability to lead his own life. That kind of respect goes a long way, because men notice when they're trusted versus when they're monitored. Another part of this is understanding that a man's alone time is not a threat to the relationship. Some women see a man wanting time to himself as rejection, but for men it's often the opposite. That space is where they recharge, where they think, and where they plan. If a woman can give him that time without turning it into an argument, it actually pulls him closer because he feels like he's with someone who truly understands him. Sometimes a man will even step back on purpose to see what you do with the distance. If you use that time to better yourself, work on your own goals, and stay positive, that's attractive to him. But if you use that time to create drama, demand explanations, or question his commitment, he'll see you as someone who can't function unless he's constantly catering to you. Men love women who have their own independence too. If you got your own friends, hobbies, and passions, it shows him you're not trying to live your entire life through his. That makes him more comfortable giving you space because he knows you'll give him the same in return. Relationships work best when both people can be together without feeling trapped. And when a man sees that you get that, you've passed one of the biggest tests he's got. One of the quickest ways a man decides what kind of woman he's dealing with is by watching how she responds to the things he does for her. For a man, respect and appreciation go hand in hand. He's not just paying attention to what you say when he makes a big move. He's watching how you react to the small stuff too. It could be something as simple as fixing something in your house, picking you up when you needed a ride, or remembering that snack you like and surprising you with it. These might feel small, but to him, they're little tests to see if you notice and value his effort. Men are wired to want to provide and to make the people they care about happy. But here's the thing. Nobody likes feeling like their effort is taken for granted. When a man goes out of his way and you act like it was nothing, It slowly makes him feel like nothing he does will ever be enough. And when a man feels like that, he pulls back. That's why he's paying close attention to how you respond. If you light up, if you say thank you, if you acknowledge that he didn't have to do it but chose to, that tells him you're the kind of woman who sees him, not just what he brings. Sometimes the test isn't about gifts or favors. It's about his time. If he's tired after a long day, but still makes time to check in with you, that's effort. If he rearranges something in his schedule to be there when you need him, that's effort. And he's watching to see if you recognize it. When you do, it makes him want to give more. When you don't, it makes him question why he's doing it in the first place. Respect is a big one too. A man is going to notice if you talk to him with respect, even when you're upset. Anybody can be polite when they're happy, but how you speak to him when you're frustrated shows him whether you truly respect him or not. If you belittle him, talk down to him, or throw his mistakes in his face, that sticks with him. Men remember the words that cut them just as much as they remember the words that lift them. There's also a quiet way men test respect. They pay attention to how you treat them around other people. Do you speak about him with pride when he's not around? Do you support him in public even if you might disagree in private? Or do you criticize him in front of others? For men, public respect matters because it shows loyalty and partnership. If you stand with him when eyes are on you both, that's worth a lot in his mind. Another thing is whether you acknowledge his intentions, not just his results. Maybe he tried to cook for you and it didn't turn out perfect. Maybe he planned a date that didn't go exactly as expected. If you can still show appreciation for the thought and the effort, that makes him feel safe to keep trying. But if you focus only on what went wrong, he'll start thinking it's better not to try at all. Men are not always going to say, I'm testing you right now, but trust me, they are paying attention to these moments. They want to know that if they put in the work, it won't go unnoticed. And the woman who passes that test isn't the one who demands the most. It's the one who appreciates the most. Because for a man who's ready to give, appreciation is fuel and respect is the foundation. Without those two things, he's not going to build anything lasting. A man who's serious about choosing the right woman is always asking himself one question. Is she adding to my life or is she just taking from it? That's one of the deepest tests a man runs, even if he never says it out loud. Because no matter how good the chemistry is, no matter how strong the attraction is, a man knows that if a woman only takes and never gives, that relationship will eventually drain him. Adding value doesn't mean you have to do everything for him or take on all his burdens. It's about bringing something to the table that makes his life better, lighter, and more meaningful. A man notices if when he's around you, he feels more motivated, more focused, and more at peace. He's watching to see if you inspire him to aim higher or if you're pulling him into negativity, drama, or constant conflict. Sometimes the test is subtle. Maybe he tells you about a big goal he has, starting a business, going back to school, getting in shape. And he's paying attention to your reaction. Do you encourage him, help him think through ideas and believe in him? Or do you shoot it down, tell him it's unrealistic, or make him feel foolish for even dreaming it? That response will tell him whether you're someone who helps him grow or someone who holds him back. He'll also notice if you take initiative in ways that show you care. Maybe you see he's been stressed and you bring him his favorite meal without him asking. Maybe you encourage him to take a break when he's overworking himself. These things might seem small, but to a man, they speak volumes. They say, I see you, I care about you, and I'm invested in you too. That's the kind of value that money can't buy. Adding value is also about energy. If every time he's with you, it turns into a list of complaints, demands, and negativity, that's draining. But if you can bring laughter, positivity, and calm to his world, even on the days that aren't perfect, that's priceless. A man will remember how you make him feel more than he'll remember what you give him. There's another layer to this. He's looking to see if you can handle things without always leaning on him for every little thing. Independence is attractive because it shows you can stand on your own 2 feet, which means you're with him because you want to be, not because you have to be. If you can manage your own life but still let him be part of it, you're adding value instead of adding weight. And men definitely notice when a woman helps them protect their peace. Life can be stressful and the world can be demanding. If you're the kind of woman who creates an environment where he can relax, recharge, and feel safe, you've given him something he can't get from just anybody. That's a form of value that stays in a man's heart for life. Sometimes the value you bring shows up in how you handle challenges together. If something goes wrong and you work with him instead of against him, you've proven you're a partner, not just a passenger. Men remember that. They remember the woman who stood beside them in the struggle and still made the relationship feel like a team effort. On the flip side, if a man feels like every interaction is about what he can give, buy, or do for you without any return in effort, kindness, or support, he's going to see that as a red flag. He's not looking for someone to drain his energy. He's looking for someone to help him protect it. When a man finds a woman who adds value to his life, it changes how he looks at her. She's no longer just someone he likes. She becomes someone he can build with. And for a man who's ready to settle down and create something real, that's the ultimate green light.